Hello everyone, welcome back to another Shoutcast match brought to you by Ratgoska. Thank you for tuning in. Been getting a lot of replays sent to both my YouTube channel and to my Hotmail inbox, ratgoskasc2 at hotmail.com. Thanks for all those great submissions. This replay was provided to me by Thomas, spawning as the green Zerg in the southern position, and we have his opponent Chris. Funny enough, that's also my name, but not me playing this game, but just a funny little first name introduction there. Spawning as the pinkish Zerg in the western position here on Shattered Temple. Looks like these players are in the cross spawn positions by air, as we do have the Overlords doing the obligatory Overlord high five as they pass by each other. So both players are going to know the exact positioning of each other. This replay was provided to me by Thomas Starcraft, and so hopefully this is going to be a pretty epic ZVZ matchup. I did just get back from being over at Mork's house, helping him out with his new processor. Got to watch him do some ZVZ with Internet Dave, and it looks like Thomas here is asking for please no cheese, can we play macro? But this is a custom game, so hopefully they will do a ZVZ type map, which is a lot of Banelings, a lot of Zerglings, a lot of Roach on Roach action, at least as far as I've seen, maybe even some Infestor play going on. But we'll definitely see how this game gets underway, as looks like Thomas is up to about 200 minerals right now. Hasn't decided if he's going to go for a pool. Oh, looks like he's definitely going for pool first build. Usually in a ZVZ matchup you see a pool first build with early Zergling speed. But it looks like Thomas is going to be taking a risk by trying to get this hatchery out first before getting his spawning pool up. We'll see if this pays dividends or not for him, or if this is going to be just a big cluster. As we do now have the spawning pool for Chris just about finished, as that extractor did finish getting guys and gas right away, so it looks like we're going to be seeing some Zergling first action going on. Looking at the APM of both these players, look like relatively about even in the 50s. Looks like jumping back and forth. Close that window, get it out of my way. We do now have the spawning pool coming up for Thomas. Looks like he's going to be with no gas yet. Doesn't look like he's going to be going for any kind of Zergling speed opening. But we do have Thomas now, Chris right now working on getting that 100 gas set up so he can get his Zergling speed started right away. And we'll see if he decides to transition into some kind of Baneling play or some kind of Roach play, as that Queen is just about halfway done right now. It's just going to shoo away those Overlords. 2 Zerglings now in production for Chris. Sending out that drone, but looks like there's a blocker drone there from Thomas. Gonna take that out so he can get his expansion up. So it looks like we see some fast expanding Zerg play. Just kind of wanted to shoo that Overlord out of its position and then throw up that hatchery, which has now been spotted by Thomas. So it looks like both players going to be relatively even. We do now have a Roach Warren going up for Chris, and we have Thomas just droning up inside of his base right now. With this hatchery being up first, he's definitely going to have the advantage now, as he is able to produce units at a much faster rate, getting those 2 queens produced as well. So it looks like Thomas is going to be in slight advantage here by going for this risky hatch first build and getting a spine crawler down here so he can at least protect this ramp as much as possible, even though Zerglings will still be able to run by. Might lose 1 or 2 Zerglings, but should definitely be able to get into the base, shooing that Overlord from Chris out right now, as we do have some Zerglings taking their position across the center of the map. Good thing to note, my cold is finally starting to diminish, so hopefully I don't have to sniffle or cough anymore during my cast. It was hopefully not too annoying for you guys earlier, but if I do, I'm apologizing right now, because I do not mean to. It's just this cold trying to get rid of. As we do have the hatchery now just about finished for Chris, and we do have the hatchery just working on building up that larva right now, as the Queen just gets out there to set down a creep tumor. Or not set down a creep tumor, as it were. Looks like he's just getting ready to do some larva injecting, as this hatchery is just about finished with its current set of larvae that are going to pop off any minute. Do have 3 Zerglings now heading down into the base for Thomas. With these 4 Zerglings here and the spine crawler and the Queen, he should be able to hold that off quite easily, as we do now have some roaches being produced. Would like to see some Evo chambers get produced from these players, just so they can quickly get some upgrades. A lot of times in ZVZ battles you'll see it's upgrade versus upgrade, and Chris is obviously listening to this broadcast, as he did now just start that evolution chamber and get the spine crawler of his own for defense. Nah, just kidding, he's not listening. This has been a pre-recorded replay, although it would be kind of sweet. I was talking to Mork a little bit earlier today about possibly setting up, he's getting his streaming off the ground, so we should be seeing some live coaching sessions from him any day now. but as well as possibly doing some kind of online tournament streaming. He and I were talking about that, which would be kind of cool to set up. And it looks like those Zerglings get picked off without doing too much damage at all. Meanwhile, looking at both these players, they just got their overloads kind of setting out across the map. And we do have working on just building up that macro, so it's definitely an interesting passive type ZVZ battle, as we do not have that evolution chamber going up. It looks like that's just going to act as a barrier for these two spine crawlers to reduce the surface area that the Zerglings can get on there. Also be handy to get upgrades in the future, as we do not have missile attacks level 1 now coming up for Chris, and we do have both of the players getting their lair tech going up as well. But it looks like Chris's did finish slightly ahead of time, so we'll see what he decides to do with his lair tech. Possibly could get roach speed, or possibly could be getting mutas. From what I've heard from a lot of Zerg players, is muta on muta is basically whichever player has the mutas first and harasses the ghast first, it basically wins the muta on muta battle. But we do have Burrow and the Glial Reconstitution now coming up for Chris, as it looks like he's going to be focusing heavily on that roach tech, as he has got about Zerg missile attacks level 1 about halfway finished. Meanwhile, ground armor level 1 going up for Thomas. As we do see, looking at just producing a lot of roaches here. We got 10 roaches now in production, as well as getting some more gas going up as well, so he can get his gas going, get more units built up. We do have lots of overlords here spread across the map, so get really good vision. We'd like to see some of these overlords placed closer to his opponent, just so he can get better vision of what's going on. But he does have this overlord here he can spot with, and this overlord here looks like it's getting ready to go up. One thing you can do is you can kind of place your overlord here in the center, and that way if you see any of these two bases go up, you'll know about it because you'll see the creep spread. And it looks like we do now have a Hydralisk Den going up as well, so very interesting ZVZ matchup so far. Looks like we're getting these rocks taken out, so it looks like Chris is getting ready to take a third base up in that back corner. And meanwhile, it looks like Thomas is getting ready to take the gold base, so Thomas will be ahead economically yet again. Supply-wise, currently 84 for Chris, 74 for Thomas. And it looks like Thomas is also getting that roach speed and burrow movement, or burrow, not burrow movement. And Zerg missile attacks now coming up for Chris. Zerg missile attacks level 2, and we'll see if he decides to take that third base, as Thomas is now setting up his third base at the gold expansion and getting several more roaches queued in the queuing window, and getting 2 Hydralisks built up as well. Both players still relatively even. 7 roaches being built up as well, and it does look like, yes, we have that drone coming up, getting ready to build that third IP in the corner. And it doesn't look like either player knows about each of these bases, but like I said, Thomas taking the gold will be ahead economically at the end once all the dust settles from these expansions. We do have a couple spore crawlers being built for Chris, so it looks like he's concerned about some Mutalisk harassment, even though hasn't scouted anything, doesn't really see any on the way. As it looks like we've got Overlord movement speed being researched as well, so he can get his Overlords in position. Now 6 Spore Crawlers being built for Chris, so he's definitely concerned by some kind of airplay, even though none is present on the map. Definitely kind of a blunder on Chris's part. You definitely want to make sure if you're scouting, you build according to the scouting information. He doesn't really have any indication that any kind of airplay is happening, but yet is getting those Spore Crawlers out. And we do now have Zerg Armor level 2 and Zerg Missile Attacks level 1, as well as getting burrowed roaches for Thomas. So it looks like he's going to be able to sneak his roaches in, do massive amounts of damage, and also be able to burrow them and run away, as well as getting his infestation pit. So it looks like he might be going for Hive Tech right away, and could go for that +3 armor upgrade. And we do have another